Alright, here we go. So, I am doing Diamond Foods. I don't know why they are called Diamond Foods. I guess they think that they are some kind of premier food packing, whatever it is. Uh, Hope my audio is alright for you while you're sitting there drinking your White Claws. I hope that you're able to find some entertainment out of this. I'll just say ahead of time that the software I'm using only lets me do 10 minutes for free, so this video is going to be in two parts. Hope that's alright with you. Anyway, let's get started on Diamond Foods. So, Diamond Foods was started in 1912, and they were part of a co-op basically. And they stayed in that co-op basically until 2005 when they had their initial public offering. So the main area that this case is going to be focused on is going to be 2005 to 2012. So the reason that I have a picture of almonds on your screen, not almonds, walnuts, that's what this case is about, walnuts. The reason I have walnuts on your screen is the fact that that's how they made most of their money before they went public. Uh, During the case, the main point of it is they were trying to expand and differentiate and get away from just being a walnut company. So it says in 2006 they were around 67% of their total sales had to do with walnuts. And by 2009 that was already down to 47%. So in the span of 3 years, they were able to differentiate their sales and get their walnut sales down 20% as a percent of their total sales. Um, so what makes this company so interesting is they were growing like crazy. As you can see on this next slide here, they were acquiring a lot of companies. Their CEO seemed to be making a lot of great choices. Their net sales is up tremendously. Gross profit, net income, and basic earnings per share. A lot of that can be attributed to the acquisitions they made, but it's also just the way that they were growing internally as well. And that was reflected in their stock price. When they had their initial public offering in 2005, their stock price was $17 per share, and by July of 2011, it was all the way up to 76.53, which is a huge growth, um, especially in such a short time frame. Uh, the important number to look at on this chart here would be the basic earnings per share. That was a big point in the case. It was how a lot of the executive bonuses were determined, was on that number. So that's something to keep in mind as we go along here. All right, so as I mentioned, they were trying to grow rapidly. So you can see some of the brands that they owned here. They had Pop, Secret, Kettle, Emerald, and Blue Diamond, which is their own brand. So I've never heard of Pop Secret or Emerald. Uh, I did know about kettle chips, so I put the jalapeno on there because that's what I tend to favor when I'm going for those kettle chips. And then the Blue Diamond. When I see those in the grocery store, I just walk past them because they are way too overpriced for me. But this is how they were trying to differentiate and grow. And as you'll see in a little bit, they were also trying to acquire more companies to continue that growth. And that's part of the issue in this case stems from that desire to continue to grow. Uh, but Kettle was bought for $615 million in February of 2010. So that's one of the reasons why you can see on this slide uh, the the sales and all that is going up so much because that was the year they just incorporated Kettle, along with some of the issues you'll see later on in this presentation. So what they wanted was Pringles. You can see this nice duck face individual. That's what I did as a kid. This was going to be a huge acquisition for them. It was going to be their largest acquisition. It was going to be over $1 billion, and they were really excited for it. Their CEO was doing a great job helping them expand, and this was their next target. And everyone knows what Pringles are. It's from when you're in kindergarten. Everyone sees and recognizes Pringles, and it would have been their most recognizable brand by far, at least reaching new demographics even beyond kettle chips in the chip area. And this acquisition would have helped them become the second largest snack food supplier in the nation, right after Frito-Lay, which is owned by Pepsi. So there was a lot riding on this, and you can see how there was this pressure on management to try and get this acquisition done. There was a lot of pressure, I'm assuming, from the shareholders, the board, from themselves, and they really wanted to make this a reality. So they also wanted money. When it came to the issue in this case, the executive salary, the CEO and the CFO, both of their bonuses were determined based off of um, the performance of the company. They had performance-based bonuses, and so there was an incentive there to try and um, make the company financials look as good as possible. You know, the classic fraud triangle. There was opportunity, rationalization, all that stuff, and there was something to gain from it. Um, all three components were there. Um, so that was an issue leading up to this. The CEO alone had about $4 million in bonuses. The CFO had about the same amount, and so they were very financially invested in the continued growth of this company, which you will see is a problem going forward. So this here, Michael is the CEO. He started with the company in his 20s and became CEO in his early 30s. So he was a very accomplished man. He had led them through all of their acquisitions and their purchases, and it really helped them get to this great spot as a company. So it's kind of sad to see the problems that he created for himself, because it seemed like he was a really good CEO for that company and that brand. And um, as you'll see in a little bit, he ended up making some not so great choices. Uh, this here is Stephen Neal, the CFO. He's the handsome one, as I like to say. He looks kind of like George Bush's vice president there, in my 10 pixel picture that I have there. He was said to be a very hands-on CFO, and I guess he would go out to the walnut fields twice a year and inspect the crop, which doesn't seem very hands-on to me, but that's what they said. So together, both the CEO and the CFO were continuing on trying to grow this company, and that's where the Pringles acquisition comes in. So they were going to try and buy Pringles from Procter and Gamble, and that was going to be a $2.35 billion purchase. So it would have greatly increased their market cap. Um, and the added pressure on the CFO and CEO here from the money and the desire to get this acquisition at as good a price as possible, you'll see that's what led to these issues. Um, Continuing on here. So the deal that would have gone down had this item in it called a cash collar, which basically meant that if the price of the company's stock went up, then the cash that they would have had to have paid would have gone down in the acquisition of Pringles by a large amount, like $100 million. And if the stock had gone down in value, then the cash that needed to be paid would have gone up. So this applied a lot of pressure on management and created an issue, because if the stock price was higher, then it would have been a better deal for Diamond, as they would have been able to issue less stock in order to pay for the exchange. Um, so I will continue on with this in part 2 of my video, because my 10 minutes is almost up on my recording.